What's up, guys? We are going to work on the Civic again, finally. It's been a while. Basically, because I was getting parts. Obviously, that other engine was no good. So now we are going to put a new engine in it. I've got a K20 Z3 short block. I've got another K20 A2 head, and I've got some other parts, and we're going to try and make this thing work. So let's just kind of get into it. I think I'm going to try and clean up this block a little bit, maybe paint it. I also need to switch over to the Type S oil pump, among a lot of other things. So let's see what we can do. Okay, I got the K24 style oil pump off of there. I need to get this little oil orifice out of there, and I just cannot get it with a pick. So I think, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to drill it. I'm gonna drill it, yeah, with a couple small drill bits, and maybe I might have to tap it even. I don't know. We'll fuck around, see if we can get it out. Okay, I finally got it out. I started drilling it, and then I got a pick in there, and I was able to pull it out. I remembered after the fact that I've actually used a screw before. You can just kind of run a wood screw in there and pull it out. I totally forgot about that, but it's out of there. Doesn't matter. I ran a tap down there, put a 8x125 bolt in there, blocked off that oil port. Now we can move on. Okay, next order of business. For those of you that have never done a Type S pump before, this is the issue. Basically, what happens is it hits right here because the block is shaped different. So you end up having to cut this whole section out so that it fits correctly. And basically, the whole reason to do this pump is this one doesn't have balance shafts, so it allows you to have better oil pressure and volume at higher RPMs. So that and just less rotating mass. So we just need to, yeah, cut that shit out of there and then get it to fit. All right, got that all cut out. You can see I actually probably went further than I needed to, but it doesn't really matter as long as it clears all that stuff. It's just kind of sitting there right now. Cleaned it up already. Cleaned up the windage tray. Just need to install that, and we can put the pump on, chain, all that stuff, and keep going. Okay, I got that part of it together. I did realize I made a mistake. I shouldn't have cut all of that off. I should have left that little tab for that extra bolt, because there is 3 bolts that go in there, and yeah, now I only have to, I can only run 2, but I don't honestly think it's gonna matter because that bracket is pretty stiff. I think we'll be fine. Maybe famous last words, but we're gonna send it. But, see, moving on, I think might throw some paint on this thing while I'm working on some other stuff since I'm at this point, but yeah, let's do that. Okay, next order of business, I got the oil panel cleaned up, got all that metal and shit that was in the pan from the old engine out of there, and then I've also got this oil pan baffle. This is like one from Blocks. There's a couple other companies that make the same one. This is probably a knockoff of a knockoff, who fucking knows, but I didn't go with the trapdoor setup only because I was trying to save a buck, and this is better than not having anything. So it kind of goes like that. I realized now that I actually have to take all those bolts back out because obviously this is gonna go into there. So let's take those bolts out of there, and then it looks like I got these studs and these spacers to kind of go in those spots to kind of put it where it needs to be. So yeah, let's try to do this. So the oil pan baffle is finally on there. It was a pain in the ass. I had to unbolt the oil pump and kind of move it to the side to get to go in there because these studs, you can't quite get them to line up correctly. I don't know if they just didn't drill the holes right or what. I don't know, but they didn't like line up great. So I had to put studs in, these little spacers, and kind of slide this down as a unit, which it worked. It was just a pain in the ass. The biggest thing is that, like, these studs, they are not long enough. They're, like, I don't know what they were thinking, but it's not ideal. Like, you see this one has only got like 75-80% of the threads grabbing, which isn't great, but I mean, it's on there. I loaded them up with Loctite. Should be okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna throw the oil pan on and move on. Well, I tried to put the oil pan on and it doesn't fucking fit. I don't even understand. Like, I looked at the instructions they have on their website, and the instructions show that these spacers are like half the size of the ones they sent me. I think they sent me the wrong shit, which would make sense why the studs didn't seem like they were long enough, and that would bring this whole thing down. So I might take these spacers out and then just like slide it on there and then see if the oil pan will actually bolt up. And then if it does, then I just need different spacers. It's so stupid. I'm definitely getting somewhere. This side sits pretty good. I can actually get the oil pan to like sit all the way down on this side. This side, you can see it's hitting right here and it's not allowing it to go down all the way, so it won't quite sit flush. So I'm gonna trim this just a little bit and then put it down there, check the oil pan, and then at that point I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do about spacers, because clearly the ones I have are way too big. Aha! You see how much stud I have sticking out of there now, because I cut them bitches down. It actually fits. I test fitted it. We're good. You can see I did do that trim right there. We're clearing. Fuck yeah. Okay, now we're gonna put the oil pan on. Ta-da! Short block's all done. I even put a nice magnetic drain plug in there. Now on to doing cylinder head things. So I've actually got these. I picked up some Tota valve springs from some guy in Marketplace, and we're gonna throw those in that cylinder head. And then I've got some camshafts. We are gonna try these out. I have never seen anybody actually run these and actually have any sort of review. So I'm gonna try them. I mean, they're cheap, like dirt cheap. I think it was like, I got it for Black Friday deal. I think it was like, I don't remember, it was like 40, 50 bucks or something like that. Just something super cheap. This is like half the price of like getting Drag Cartel, which obviously Drag Cartel is great stuff. It's gonna be better, but I just wanna see if I can make some, you know, some gains out of this. And those valve springs, they're actually just single valve springs. And they're rated basically right at the absolute limit of what these are at. So they're like, it's a perfect matching. We should be okay. I won't be able to do any bigger cams in the future. I'd have to switch out the springs again. But for the moment, it should work. So we're gonna put these springs in the head and start, putting the rest of it together. So first things first, I got these springs. The dude said they weren't used, but like, they're kind of, they look like they might have been, but it's really difficult to tell. And I don't know, anything about these other than what the guy told me. So we're going to check them. I've actually got a spring checker, and I've already ran this one up onto here. And you can see what I'm seeing right now is like about 78 pounds, because it still has a little bit of movement in the gauge, which you can't really see. Like I'd have to have two hands to do it. But this is about where it's at. So 78 to 80 pounds is about what they're checking at, which, I mean, I don't know what these are rated at, because Tota is very secretive about it. They don't really have any specs, but like considering like what a lot of aftermarket valve springs are for K series, I could see that being right. So I'm gonna check all of these, make sure they're all about right before we put them in, because I just want to make sure that they're good. All right, all those valve springs, I tested about 5 or 6 of them, and they were all like right at 80 pounds. So I'm not concerned about it. I think we're good to go on that. Not worried about it. I got some we got some Super Tech valve seals. So I'm gonna do those while I'm at it. Although I will say this cylinder head, when I got it, it looked like it had been resurfaced. Like it looks like it's got new valves or something. Because if you look at it, it just looks like everything has been apart and possibly had a valve job. Because these ones actually, they kind of look aftermarket to me. They don't look like factory valves. I mean, I don't know for sure, but there's a pretty solid chance this thing's been apart. So I think we're just gonna start tearing into this. If you guys don't have one of these, if you're trying to do valve springs, there's a lot of companies that sell this. This one's Euro, what is this? Euro Export? There's a lot of places that sell these, but this is the specific tool for taking valve springs out of K20, K24, and the F20 engines. It makes your life a lot easier, but let's start swapping these around. Okay, you can see here I got 2 of these done, because the factory ones are dual springs and these aftermarket ones are actually single springs, which is interesting, but they are rated a hell of a lot higher than the factory ones. I'm actually going to set the camera and then I can show you how I take these out and put them in. It's pretty easy. There's actually a couple tricks that make your life a hell of a lot easier, and I'll show you. Okay, so the first thing for me, the easiest way to get these valve springs off, I mean, literally on pretty much any engine I've ever done, this is the easiest way to do it. And the way you do it is you literally just get a socket with an extension and you just hit it. And then basically if you hit it just right, the little keepers come out and it's already off. You don't have to use a tool, nothing. Now, you have to be careful because you have to press down hard enough that when those keepers come out, they stay inside the socket rather than fly out, because otherwise you're gonna lose them. So you gotta be careful, but other than that, it's pretty simple and I'll show you. See there? Springs off, one hit, and both of the keepers stayed in the socket. Pretty easy. So next I will show you how to install the new one, but first we've got to get the valve seal off of there, which you can see right down in there. It's kind of hard to hold the camera like this, but this valve seal is going to come out. So we're going to take the valve out first, then we are going to remove the valve seal. So basically we're just going to slide this valve out, pull it out the bottom. And you can see kind of what I was talking about with these valves. They're super, super clean, which makes me think, like I said, I think this has been a part. Somebody's been in here for sure. I got some grass in here. That's always good. So to get this valve seal off, easiest way really is vice grips. You just kind of grab the top of it and just kind of work it back and forth until it comes off. Sometimes it can really be a bear, depending on the engine and how much room you have to work with, and you might have to use a needle nose. This one I can get in here with regular vice grips. And you see there, came off like that. So now we've got to put our new valve seal in. And there's actually a tool for this as well. This is a valve seal install tool. It's got a little recessed part right here so that you're not gonna screw up the seal when you put it in. So basically we just slide that on there, just kind of line it up so it's about straight, and then you just tap it home. And you can tell when it's all the way down, is that, I mean, it's just gonna it kind of makes a different noise, but you could kind of hear that. In any case, so now, valve seal's installed, no big deal. You can see that nice little blue guy. So now we're going to slide our valve back in and get our spring on. So what I usually do is I've usually got like a little cup of oil or something. I'll just dip the valve stem in there so that it slides in through the seal pretty easy. I'm gonna line this guy up and slide it through. There we go. So I like to, when I'm putting these springs on and off, I like to get like a nice towel, or this is an old t-shirt, just whatever, to kind of push up against the valve, because otherwise if you don't have something on the valve is actually going to move down. So we want it to like stay right where it is so that when we're putting this spring in, it's not moving around. So we're going to grab our new valve spring, we're going to slide it on here. And what I like to do is get some grease, like just wheel bearing grease, whatever, and you're going to put that right in the center of that hole right there. And the reason we're doing that is because we are going to slide these keepers into the top of this valve spring retainer, and that is going to hold the keepers in place while we put the valve spring on. So we're going to set that in there. We've got our tool. Basically it just bolts into here. Just run these bolts down. I've got to switch this upper bolt over because I had it in a different location on the last one. Get that started. We've got this little cup Basically, this cup is gonna sit right on top of the valve spring here. You just get it lined up about as straight as you possibly can. And then we're just gonna slowly run the bolt down. Now, as we do that, we're gonna watch those keepers and make sure that they're centered on the tip of that valve. And you're gonna use your thumb and kind of work those things, use your fingers, kind of work those things in there until that upper lock seats in there. And I don't know if you can see this, very easy. It's gonna be really tricky on the camera, but basically the tip of that valve has a recessed edge, which I can show you on another valve when I pull it out. But basically those keepers, they slide into like the little grooves on there. And once those are locked in there, then we can remove our bolt nice and slow. Just make sure that it's centered, staying in there, and we're good. Valve springs in, on to the next one. No big deal. Okay, so I can show you here. You can see that little ridge right there. Basically, these valve keepers, these little keepers here, they just kind of sit right in there like that. It's very difficult to show you, but essentially it locks in just like that. So now you know. And after a lot of time, got them all in there. Such a pain in the ass. It takes forever. Like it's not very difficult. It just takes so long to do all this. But it's all together, so now we can kind of move on to putting it on the engine. Alright, so obviously you saw I torqued the head. You'll notice I did run it down with the impact, but that was literally like slowly running it down just to get it like close before I torqued it. I wasn't impacting down, so don't worry about that. And then basically for used bolts, so it's like 28 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees plus another 90 degrees. I run it all the way. I did 28 plus 90, then I backed them all off and then ran them again. So it's nice and torqued at this point. Of course, used Honda head gasket. Always use Honda head gasket. It's the way to be. So now I just need to put the lost motion assembly pieces in there and like all of the valve train, and yeah, get this thing assembled. Okay, so you'll see now I've got the rocker assembly on there. You got to make sure you use silica on this end. I put a little bit of assembly lube on there. I have those cams, so we're gonna load those things up with assembly lube, drop those in here, and then we're going to, assemble the rest of it. Okay, so you'll see I got the cams are in there. It's all bolted down, except I didn't do that one. But so in order to get the cams in here, these cams obviously didn't come with cam gears, so I had to put these on. When you put this adjustable cam gear on there, you actually have to unlock it, which there's various ways to do that. One is like blowing air into there with the cam when it's on the cam to unlock it. I did the other way, which is basically you unbolt the cover, pull it apart, move it over, put it back together, because it was just easier. Yeah, but they're all tightened down. I just need to do a final torque, but first I'm going to put the chain on so I can have it all in time, and then I can kind of get a wrench in there to hold it pretty good so I can actually torque these correctly. But we're getting there, guys. It's almost together. All right, it's pretty much all together. I did, I adjusted the valves. Obviously the timing was all set and all that. I got the timing cover on. I actually found another tube of silicone, which was really nice because I thought I was out, and it's actually Christmas Eve right now, and it's late enough that I won't be able to get any tomorrow. So I'm just doing what I can, but I had enough silicone, so we got that on. Most of the stuff is on there. The valve cover's just sitting there. I actually need to get a valve cover gasket. I'm gonna leave it off anyway because when I put it in the car, I don't want it to get scratched. But for the most part, it's together, guys. It's pretty much ready to go in. Hell yeah. Well, guys, I think that's a good place to stop. I got to a pretty good position with the engine, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I did have to take the timing cover back off because I'm an idiot and I forgot to put the crank reluctor wheel back in there. So yeah, I had to do that off camera, but it is what it is. I also put the oil cooler on there. You can kind of see, took that off the other engine, put that on there. But yeah, it's pretty much ready to go in. Now I just got to do a lot of stuff to the car. I do kind of want to repaint the transmission because a lot of the paint flaked off when I power washed it. So I'll have to redo that. But yeah, lots more to do. Yeah, we'll see how motivated I get next time I'm here in the garage. But until then, like, subscribe, do all the things. Peace out.